So there's not going to be any need for prophets. But
all right. Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. All right. Just wanted to do this quick lesson. All right, going into the spirit. All right, of prophecy. All right, and dealing with the prophets. Okay, now, as I was I have a couple of precepts gathered here. Okay, going into a lot of the prophets of old. Okay, the famous men that we know. That the Lord put His Holy Spirit upon to go and prophesy. All right, Salakia. All right, to go and prophesy basically the downfall or whatever it was the Lord wanted them to prophesy. All right, you had the apostles. All right, you had Hosea, Zechariah, Isaiah, Jeremiah, all these men of old. Okay, now we understand that the way the cycle of life works. Okay, it's like it's just like how water is recycled. Okay, it's still the same water coming back in a different bottle. Okay, and that's how the cycle of life goes. Through the process of reincarnation. Okay, so all those men that you read about, Daniel, Ezekiel, Jeremiah, they're all back here again today. Okay, now, of course, they don't know who they are because the Lord had purposely done it that way to where, as the scriptures tell you, there is no remembrance, all right, of former things. So you're not going to come back and remember your past life. You're not going to come back and remember. Let me get some more of this. You're not going to remember your past life. You're not going to remember all those things. And the Lord set that up for order's sake. Okay, now, art thou. I'll give you an example. Let's see. Elias. See if I can find it. If not, I'll just quote it. Let's see. Basically, when they asked John the Baptist if he was Elijah, okay, and he basically denied it. He said no. He said, nah, he's not Elijah. He is one crying in the wilderness. Okay, now why would John the Baptist say that he's not Elijah? Okay, but then Yahushua says that he is Elijah. Why? Because Yahushua, of course, knew, okay, when he came as Yahushua, his mind was open. He knew everything. He knew, all right, who the disciples were. He knew who they were in the past. Okay, he knew, because if he knew John was Elijah in the past, of course he would know that Peter was King David and Moses and all the different men were who they were, all right, in the past. What the prophets that they were in the past. Okay, so why would Yahushua say that John was Elijah, but then John, when they asked John, he said, no, I'm not Elijah. Okay, because John didn't know. Because according to the cycle of reincarnation, you're not going to remember who you are. If you go up to a brother, and you say, yo, are you Jeremiah? If he has spiritual common sense, he's not going to tell you yes, because he doesn't know. We don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't point to a specific brother and say, hey, that's Daniel or that's Ezekiel. All right. Because we don't know. So it's the same thing with John. He basically said, nah, I'm not Elijah, because he didn't know. But the Lord knew. The Lord knew, okay, no, he is Elijah. And he told the disciples that. Okay. Now, just because John didn't know that he was Elijah, did that mean that Elijah hadn't come back in the reincarnation as John? No. Okay. Elijah still came back in the reincarnation as John the Baptist. He just didn't know. Now, he still had the same spirit. He was still prophesying. He was still doing the will of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. All right. It's just that memory was blocked. And it's the same thing today. Okay. The company of prophets. All right. Certain prophets that were back then. Now, there were many, all right, other men that we, the scriptures don't necessarily focus on per se, but they're also here today. Because when you go into it, it talks about 144,000. Now in the scriptures, we know namely, all right, the main ones, but there's others that might not have been written about, you know, or we might not know their names per se. When Elijah came back, and I believe the servant's name was Obadiah, basically saw him, and Elijah told him, "Go tell Ahab that I'm here." And he said, "What, you know what I'm saying? You want to kill me or something? Because when I go, the second I go to get him, you gonna disappear, and he's gonna think I'm playing around, and he's gonna, you know what I'm saying? He's gonna put me to death, you know." And then he mentioned how when Jezebel was slaying the prophets, he hid a good amount of prophets in the cave and brought them, you know, water. And now it doesn't tell you the names of those prophets, but they were prophets, you know, they were prophesying. Okay, so their names might not have been written, but they're here today doing the same thing. Okay, and just as you have false prophets that were back then, you have false prophets that are here today. Okay, amongst true prophets and true men of the Lord. So it's not like the scriptures say, there is no new thing under the sun. Now I'll give you an example. This is Daniel chapter 12, verse 13. It says, "But go thou thy way till the end be, for thou shalt rest and shalt stand in thy lot at the end of the days." Okay, and when is the end of the days? The end of the days is right now. Okay, so the angel told Daniel that he's gonna rest, meaning what? He's gonna die. All right, he's gonna die, you know, through the cycle of reincarnation. Now, it doesn't mean that Daniel died during his time period and never came back and is not until now. No, but it's saying that he's gonna die, as the angel told Esdras, until the number of seed is fulfilled in thee. All right, meaning the number of times you got to get reincarnated until that last time, which is this time. Okay, and that's what we're seeing going on here. So the angel told Daniel that he was going to be back in and stand in his lot in the last days. As the scriptures say, the spirit of the prophets are subject to the prophets. So Daniel, guess what, is back doing what he was doing back then, but he's prophesying in this day and age. Okay, and guess what, Daniel is in a camp, you know. So you might say, "Oh no, those men and da 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 and this, that, and the third." Guess what? Whether you like it or not, the doctrine that the elders and apostles of Great Millstone and brothers on down and us teach is the doctrine of Yahweh Shai. Is the doctrine that is in the scriptures. So those men, those prophets that we hear about in the scriptures, where do you think they would be? They would be back teaching that same truth, because the spirit of true prophets are subject to true prophets. So the prophets that wrote down certain visions, guess what? They're back here again to break them down. Now, this is something that you have to be spiritual to understand, okay? And unfortunately, or really not even unfortunately, because that's the will of the Lord, not everybody has been given that spirit or that eye salve to be able to see. And that's why Yahushua said, oftentimes he would say, if you can receive it, or he that hath ears to hear, let him hear. So look, man, ain't nobody gonna come and force you, grab your ear, try to open it up and tell you, look, by force, you have to believe this. No, if you don't get it, it's not for you. You know, we can't force it upon you. Our job is not to force you to believe it. We're just telling you. I mean, if I tell you the truth and you say, nah, that's a lie, what that got to do with me? The truth is the truth. I just told you what it is. What you want to do with it, you do with it. That's it. Now I have nothing to do with you anymore. If you don't want to deal with it, you go do what you want to do. All right. Romans 11:7, it says, "What then? Israel hath not obtained that which he seeketh for, but the election hath obtained it, and the rest were blinded." And ultimately, what is Israel seeking for? Salvation, whether they know it or not. But how do you get that salvation? You got to get it through the truth. All right. As a matter of fact, I believe it's Romans, is it 10 and 13? All right. It says here, "For whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved." Because understand that prophets have a specific job to do. Okay. They have a specific job to do. Now, there were prophets in almost every time period, right? For the most part, of these major kingdoms, right? And when you look at the statue, okay, of the dream that Nebuchadnezzar had, or you look at the different beasts which represent the different kingdoms that Daniel saw in the vision, Those represent different empires, and there were prophets in all those different ones. Okay, you had during the during Egypt, you had Moses. Okay, you had Aaron. All right, during the time of the Assyrians, guess what? You had even around that same time period, you had certain prophets. I believe you had Amos, Hosea. You know, they were around that time. Okay, Jonah. Okay, no, Jonah had to go prophesy to Nineveh. Okay, then you had the Babylonians, which Jeremiah was prophesying about them. Okay, you had the time of the Medo-Persians, where you had Ezra, Nehemiah. Okay, who else you had? I know there was somebody else. I'm just forgetting the name at the moment. Okay, so even throughout the time of the Greeks and the Roman Empire. Okay, you always had prophets in these major time periods. Okay, because the Lord, whenever these major, see, when an empire rose and fell, that was the doing of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, and he would have prophets come and announce it as heralds. You know, this empire is going to go down. This is what's going to happen. Whether it's going to happen 100 years in the future, 500 years in the future, 1,000 years in the future, the Lord always sends his prophets to come and tell you, hey, look, this is what the Lord is going to do. You know, this is what the Lord is going to do. And then it happens. So they prophesy, oh, this kingdom is going to go down. As it tells us, okay, let me pull it up real quick. That Jeremiah 28:8. All right, it says, the prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms, of war and of evil and of pestilence. And it was war, evil, and pestilence. It was through those, and you know, for the most part, that was how a lot of these kingdoms fell. You know, through war, evil, and pestilence. All right, to some degree. Okay, and so what would these prophets do when they came to prophesy the downfall of a particular kingdom? Okay, they would say, well, this kingdom is going to go down, or this is going to happen, or the kingdom of heaven is coming. If you are preaching the kingdom of heaven is coming, whoever's kingdom you're in is going to take that as sedition, because that means in order for the kingdom of heaven to be established, their kingdom needs to go. So you are going to be looked at as a seditionist, an insurrectionist, all right, a troublemaker, somebody who's against that current system. And obviously no king in his kingdom wants to be there and hear somebody telling them, hey, yo, your kingdom is going down. You know, that's, you know, so that's the job of these prophets. So you mean to tell me that the Lord set up prophets in all these different empires, but in the empire that the empire that's spoken about all throughout the book of Revelation, the last end times, the time of great destruction and deliverance, they're not here. They just disappeared. The Lord said no more prophets, none of that. The time when these major prophecies are going to be fulfilled, okay, which have been spoken of since the beginning, they're going to be fulfilled in this time, but yet there's no such thing as prophets. Everybody just do their own thing, you know. You do what you think is right, you know. Who's gonna wake up the elect? How are they gonna? Matter of fact, let's read it. All right, Romans chapter 10, verse 13. For whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. Now, in a previous video, we explained what saved means. In the word saved, there needs to be some form of danger or trouble. You can't, you know, you can't get saved if there's nothing to be saved from. So what are you going to be saved from? Ultimately, that second death. All right, that thermonuclear destruction. Okay. So whosoever calls upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. But that's talking about the elect. Because guess what? The Lord said there's going to be people saying, Lord, Lord, in that day. And you know what he's going to tell them? Depart from me, you workers of iniquity, for I have not known you. And one thing I find really, you know, surprising is how people can let pride deprive them of salvation. You know, if you can value pride so much that you let it deprive you of salvation, then you're not the brightest individual out there. You know, if you can't really wait or two, you know, if you feel like your pride is worth more than you not burning in thermonuclear fire, or starving to death, or, you know what I'm saying, being tortured in a concentration camp, or missing out on salvation or going against the Lord, the heavenly. I mean, you got to think about these things. You know what I'm saying? Okay. I mean, if I was somebody, okay, who, let's say I was teaching something contrary to what the apostles were teaching, right? And it comes out and it's blatantly obvious, you know, that maybe originally I just sincerely was wrong. You know, I sincerely thought that the mark of the beast meant something else. But now it's blatantly obvious that the elders got it right. I'm gonna say, well, I'm gonna say, okay, fine, they got it right. It's not that difficult. You know what? The apostles are hard. You know, the elders they got it right. They were right. The mark of the beast is the chip. Whatever I was teaching, look, I was wrong. You know. Now I'm gonna correct it. That's called repentance. I'm gonna correct it, and I'm gonna start teaching the truth. That's just what it is. You know. But if I know deep down inside that they're right, but because of how people are gonna look at me as like, oh, so you've been misleading us all these years, and I'm gonna lose people because of that reason, I'm gonna purposely say, no, 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 it's not the chip. I mean, you gotta really think about what you're doing here. You know, if you have that mindset, then you're really saying, well, my image or how I'm gonna look for putting my pride aside and humbling down and admitting what it is more important than me gaining salvation. Is more important than me getting fed in a famine. It's more important than me burning in thermonuclear fire. And to you, that might seem reasonable in your mind until you actually start experiencing these things. When that fire touches your ass, and then you start realizing, oh shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is for real. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to get roasted. I'm about to get dipped. Dipped with chips with no dip. I'm about to get dipped. You know? That's when it all, Wisdom of Solomon, the 5th chapter, starts hitting you. You know, oh shoot, like this is real stuff right here. I mean, you're gonna be like the rich man in the parable the Lord gave. See, that rich man, before he ended up in that fire, I mean, he didn't want to hear shit. But when he was in that fire, he's like, look, if I could, man, I would go back and undo every. Of course, when you're facing the consequences, of course you're gonna want to go back and not do the actions that you did. When you're doing the actions because you haven't felt the consequences, you're gonna be like, whatever, I'll deal with it when I get there. Until you get there, then you don't want to deal with it. But that's not how it works now, is it? So Romans 10:13, for whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. How then shall they call on him in whom they have not believed? You can't call on, why would you call on Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai if you don't believe in Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai? Why would an atheist pray to God? Think about it like that. You first have to believe that, you know what I'm saying, in whoever you're praying to, so that you can pray to them, right? And how shall they believe in whom, or in him of whom they have not heard? So, okay, how do I believe in somebody that I don't know exists? Right? I mean, when I was in the world, I used to know, you know, I used to pray to God and Jesus, but I couldn't believe in Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai because I didn't know why Yahushai existed. I just thought God and Jesus Christ. So I couldn't believe in Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Now I could believe in a higher power, but I couldn't believe in the God of Israel. I didn't even know I was an Israelite. Right? So how should they believe in him of whom they have not heard? You need to know who it is first. And how shall they hear without a preacher? If the Lord didn't have prophets out here, right? How would we have ever heard what the truth was? And if we never heard what the truth was, how would we have been exposed to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai? And if we were never exposed to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, how could we call upon him and believe in them to get delivered? So if we're in the time of deliverance, and this is the steps it takes to get delivered, that means that you need teachers, you need preachers, you need those that are sent from Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai to what? To come and teach you this word. Verse 15, and how shall they preach except they be sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of them that preach the gospel of peace and bring glad tidings of good things. You know, when you think about it, man, really, we're the smartest people on the whole planet. We are the smartest people on the whole planet because we have seen our opportunity to gain immortality and to gain salvation, and we're actually taking it. We're not sitting there and saying, nah, it's too good to be true. No. We have found the key to success. We have found the key to paradise. and we're taking it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we taking that opportunity all the way. No, I'm not double thinking it. I'm not thinking twice. That's my way to salvation. I'm taking that joint. All right, that's it. Don't get in my way. So that's somebody that's smart. You know, you hear about it. What you mean? What salvation? Destruction? Okay, well, it makes sense. Okay, well, all right, let me at least. I live on the soils of America. You're saying America is gonna be destroyed. What are you talking about? I mean, I live on the soils of America. Wouldn't I be curious to find out what you're talking about? I mean, if you're lying, then cool. I'll just keep going about my day. But what happens if you're not lying? You see, that's the process that this doesn't go on in the average individual's mind. You know, they just go about. That's why the scriptures call them dead. You know, a dead person doesn't stop to think. Oh, hold up, they don't care. You know. But let's go back. I got a couple more precepts. This is Revelation 10, and let's see. All right, Revelation chapter 10, verse 1. It says, "And I saw another mighty angel come down from heaven, clothed with a cloud, and a rainbow was upon his head, and his face was as it were the sun, and his feet as pillars of fire. And he had in his hand a little book open, and he set his right foot upon the sea, and his left foot upon the earth. And he cried with a loud voice, as when a lion roareth. And when he had cried, seven thunders uttered their voices. And when the seven thunders had uttered their voices, I was about to write, and I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, Seal up those things which the seven thunders uttered, and write them not. And the angel which I saw stand upon the sea and upon the earth lifted up his hand to heaven, and sware by him that liveth forever and ever, who created heaven, and the things that are therein, and the earth, and the things that are therein, and the sea, and the things that are therein, that there should be time no longer. Now I'm going to jump down to the point. Verse you know what? Let's read verse 7. It says, "But in the days of the voice of the seventh angel, when he shall begin to sound, the mystery of God should be finished, as he have declared to his servants the prophets." So when the seventh angel is in the time, all right, when the seventh angel will begin to sound, the mystery will be finished, which is declared unto his servants the prophecies, going into these his servants the prophets, going into these prophecies. Okay, so that means that the prophets will need to be here. What? To do what? To break down these prophecies. We see the Lord has blessed us with the ability to tell you the future. You got to really sit back and think about it. There's certain men out there who can tell you the future. Legit tell you what is going to happen in the future. That means when the sun goes down, sun come up. Sun goes down, sun come up. Like in the future, we can tell you what's going to happen. Isn't that a divine spirit? Isn't that like out of this world to really think about that? Like, yo, I really know the future. You know, I know what's going to happen. I don't live my life with uncertainty. You know, people say, you know, you live your life, live each day as though it was your last, you know, because, you know, you never know what could happen. Well, according to the scriptures, yeah, you know, we worry about the daily bread, so on and so forth, but we actually know what's going to happen in the future. You know, I could sit you down and tell you, hey, look, this is in the future. This is what's going to happen. And it's going to happen because we're not making it up. It's not our agenda. This is what the Lord, the Creator, the one who controls time, this is what he said he's going to do. And he revealed it to us. So now we know. We in the know. Right? So we can tell you, hey, look, this is what's going to happen in the future. That's crazy, right? Who else can tell you the future? You know, I mean, people can tell you what they think. Oh, you know, I see, you know, prosperity. I mean, I see great things in your future, you know, and they just lying to you. And here you are, you giving them your money. And we're telling you the actual future for free. But people hate us for it. Verse 8, it says, "And the voice which I heard from heaven spake unto me again and said, Go and take the little book which is open in the hand of the angel which standeth upon the sea and upon the earth." Now the little book represents the scriptures. Now let's hear what the angel tells John. It says, "And I went unto the angel and said unto him, Give me the little book. And he said unto me, Take it and eat it up, and it shall make thy belly bitter, but it shall be in thy mouth sweet as honey." which, you know, when you and John is not saying that you have to literally, you know, grab the scriptures and start biting into it and eating it, because it's not going to taste like honey. It's going to taste like paper. Okay? But what it's representing is digesting it with your mind. Okay? Meaning you're absorbing the content of the scriptures. And in the beginning, everything is new. Oh, we're Israelites, we're God's chosen people. I know the Most High's true name. We're gonna be immortal. We're gonna get delivered. Salvation, everything is sweet, like honey. All right, but it says here, and as soon as I had eaten it, my belly was bitter. So as it starts to digest and it goes down, that's when you start realizing, okay, now I gotta go out there and, you know, be in battle the elements. You know, I gotta, you know, your life that you used to have before. You can't have that life and live the life of the scriptures at the same time. You can't serve two masters. So you might have to cut some people off, you know. Then you start, as it tells you in the Ecclesiastes 7:7, oppression maketh the wise man mad. You know, that you start getting more, you know, vexed, because now you know what righteousness is. So now you start to see the wickedness around you. See, this is all a part of the bitterness. Then comes the patience. Damn, when are we gonna get the king? You know, da 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 da. You know, then it starts to, you know, really hit you. That's that bitterness. All right. Hey, shalom to those watching, by the way. Yashua the chosen, Khan, brother. When I found out I was an Israelite, I felt the end was here the next day. Hey, brother, that was all of us. You know what I'm saying? That was all of us. You know, I found out in high school. I was like, the summer I found out, that's the summer that's happening. You know, I'm like, you know, I'm shit. You know, you all excited. You're like, yo, you people give it, because you in that spirit of haste. You know, the scriptures say that he may run that readeth. So you in the spirit of haste. You're like, yo, you know, you got to, you know, shit is about to pop off. You know, and here you are 2 years later. You know, but there's also a reason why the Lord doesn't tell us when it's gonna be, because check it. If the Lord told you, hey, look, I'll tell you when the destruction is gonna come, and I'm speaking hypothetically. I don't want to say what I'm gonna say, but just for example's sake, and he's like, it's gonna come in 5 years. You're gonna have certain people that are gonna be like, 5 years. I don't know about all that. You know, then you know what? People start to get, oh, they start getting that laxity. 5 years, damn, that's mad far. Yo, all right, let me go start doing some stuff, and then maybe when it's like 2 years left or 1 year left, I'm gonna really pick it up. You know, so the Lord is like, I'm not gonna tell you when it is. So it could be tomorrow, it could be a week, it could be a month. You don't know. So certain people say you live every day as if it was your last. Well, now for us, we put in work every day as if it was our last, because we don't know ultimately when the end is gonna, we don't know when it's gonna pop off. So we got to keep on working and keep on pushing towards it. So even if it is 3 months from now, we not gonna know. The Lord could have you thinking it's a week from now. So you're gonna keep putting in that work, and as you keep on going and going and going, before you realize it, 3 months is already here. You know? So hey, it's also good that the Lord didn't tell us exactly when it is. Okay. But anyway, it says, I'm going to finish the verse real quick. It says, verse 11, and he said unto me, thou must prophesy again before many peoples and nations and tongues and kings. Now, John was on the island of Patmos. All right. He didn't get off the island and go start prophesying to people. So when did this happen? When was John? Because thou must. He's going to have to do it in the future. Prophesy again before many peoples and nations, tongues, and kings. But that sounds like reincarnation, right? So that means John got to be back doing what he got to do. Okay. So and that's the beauty of the prophecy. A priest, all right. Let's say a priest, for example. You born a priest. You're born through the line, and then you're raised up and groomed to fulfill a certain role. You this is how you do this. This is how whether your job is to light the incense or perform sacrifices or say certain prayers, you're taught in how to do it. You're groomed up knowing how to do it. Now, when it comes to a prophet, it's not like that. The Lord raises up prophets. It's like a random fire the Lord will put up to the common people, because you don't groom somebody to become a prophet. You're either a prophet or you're not. So that's the difference, in the office of being a prophet. If the Lord doesn't raise it. Like sometimes, hey, during the time of the book of Judges, it says the Lord didn't raise up a prophet. So each man had to, that's why they had judges. You know, everybody had to, you know, judge accordingly to what they thought was right. Until the Lord raised up a prophet to show them his will. You see, so the prophets will tell you, look, this is what the Lord is doing, this is how he's feeling, this is what he's gonna do. The priests, they can't really tell you that because they can't tell you the future. You know? That's a prophet's job. They can't tell you the mind of the Lord. That's a prophet's job. You know, so the prophets are like, you know, very, very important. Okay, a king dies, his son becomes king. You know what I'm saying? He dies, his son becomes king. It's not so with a prophet. You could be a prophet, doesn't mean your son is going to be a prophet. You know? So it's like you can't, you know, it's a special spirit. That's, the prophets are special spirits that were created in the foundation of the earth, and that's it. However many were created, that's it. That's the difference. See, if the Lord has 144,000 prophets, there are 144,000 spirits that are created to be prophets. That's it. You're not gonna have 144,001 who became a prophet in the last days. No, you either are or you're not. You were either created a prophet or you weren't. That's it. You don't add, you don't subtract. That's it. You see? But dealing with a king, you can make anybody a king. You know what I'm saying? You can become a king. You know, you're not created a king. You can become a king. You know, you can die. You know, all these different things. But prophets, you have to, that spirit has to come back. That same, if the Lord wants a prophet to be in a certain time period, he has to select one of those spirits who was created to be a prophet and bring them back in that specific time, or else there's not going to be a prophet. So you see the difference in the divine spirit. You know, the Lord there's a certain portion that he's put of his spirit in there, all right, for them to do the job they do. Okay. Now we don't see it as a, you know, as a big deal. It's not something you go get a big head over, you know, but guess what? In the kingdom, everything we're doing now is you know, it's regular to us, but in the kingdom, it's going to be a big deal. See, like we read about the men of old, the apostles, you know, prophets. To them, they were doing what they had to do. Jeremiah didn't see himself as some big old great prophet. He just saw himself as a man who was doing the will of the Lord. You know, same thing with the rest of the men of old. Now today we look back, we're like, yo, damn, like, yo, those were great men. But in their time, it was, I'm doing what I got to do. You know what I'm saying? It's normal. I'm doing what I got to do. So it's the same thing with us. We're doing what we got to do. We're not seeing ourselves as some great men. We just, all right, this is what the Lord said to do, so this is what we're doing. In the kingdom, they're going to look back now and say, damn, yo, they you know, they were doing this. They, you know, in a wicked world like that, they were prophesying and they would, you know. So that's just how it is. All right, now I'm going to go through a couple more of these. All right. This is just to prove that the prophets are back. All right, because some of these scriptures foreshadow it. All right, this is 2nd Ezra chapter 16, verse 17. And going into Ezra, when he saw the visions of the things to come, it says, woe is me, woe is me. Who will deliver me in those days? So he was talking about in these days when the destruction is taking place. But he was worried about who was going to deliver him. You know? And guess what? Some of those prophets seeing the vision, they probably saw themselves without knowing. You know, John seeing, you know, seeing America and seeing you know, the people getting chipped and seeing prophets prophesying. Guess what? He probably saw, you know, he probably saw himself, but he didn't know that's the body I was gonna come back in, you know. But he just saw, you know, so some of them probably saw themselves in the future without, no, they ain't going, you know what I'm saying? Like, this prophet sees this man and, yeah, what that, no. All right, the main point of the vision was to highlight the prophecies that were going to take place, okay? Yeah, exactly, Yahshua the chosen, just like the apostles were reading about their works now. Exactly. You know, we're reading about it now. Oh, yo, they did this and they did that, and Peter, but see, in Peter's time, he was just doing what he had to do. You know, he wasn't like, yeah, I'm doing this, you know, I'm doing that. Nah. All right. All right. So moving on, this is Revelation chapter 11 and 18. You see, because as Israel, we have a theocracy. All right. You know, going into, like, we're ruled by God, by power, by the Most High ultimately. A lot of these people have, we have a monarchy, but ultimately we live under a theocracy because we are governed by the laws of the Most High, not by the laws of a particular king, because our kings follow the laws of the Most High. Okay, these other nations follow the laws of their kings and their so-called gods and all of that. All right, so being at the Most High, all right, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai is our king. Guess what? We follow their orders. And the king always has people in their court. The prophets are like the king's court of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Okay? So a king might not necessarily come to you physically and come tell you something. He'll send messengers. So it's the same thing. The prophets will be the messengers of the divine king. Okay? So this is Revelation 11 and 18. And the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead that they should be judged. And that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants the prophets, and to the saints, and them that fear thy name, small and great. Because it's not going to be just the prophets that are going to be delivered, or just the prophets that are going to be rewarded. The elect as a whole is going to be rewarded. It's funny, the whole nation is going to be rewarded, but specifically the elect, all right, as a whole are going to be rewarded. And in the kingdom, we're not going to have that spirit of envy, oh, I'm saying I'm not a prophet, so I didn't get, that crown, the same kind of crown that this man got. Now I'm salty about it. I'm looking at him, shit, I wanted that. In the kingdom, we're not going to have that spirit. We're not going to have that feeling of envy of that I want what he has. No, because you're going to be happy with what you got. It's going to be sufficient for you. Everything is going to be tailored to the individual's taste. So that brother might get a cheeseburger, you might get pizza, but you might not like cheeseburgers. So you're not going to have a reason to envy, well, he got a cheeseburger, I want a cheeseburger. No, you don't like them. So you got what you like. So there's not going to be a need to have an envious spirit. We're going to be in harmony and at peace. But as we're reading off in Revelation 11 and 18, it says it's time to give reward unto the servants, thy prophets, thy prophets, So when is that going to be? When is that going to be? All right, if the prophets don't exist and they're not supposed to be here today and all of that, when are they going to get rewarded? Okay, it says, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth. So in the same time, when who destroyed the earth? Esau, Edom, the son of perdition. So when they get destroyed, we get rewarded. All right, and that's why they're getting ready to come down on us. See what's going on right here, right now. It's not going to be going on for very long. They're moving fast. They're DHS and this and that. And notice now they're throwing out that domestic terrorists and extremism and here, that, and the third. They're getting ready. And like Apostle R said, they paint with a large brush, man. So they a broad brush. So you might not even be in there, but they'll grab your ass, throw you in there, and they'll paint on you. No, we say you are. Because whatever labels they put out, remember that they are the ones who, those labels, they always use subjective labels, And so by their definition of it, you fit under the category, so we're going to lump you together. It always starts that way. We're gonna lump you all together, and then next thing you know, you're the only one there. I'll be like, hold on, all right, well, you said extremists. You called us, you claim that we're so-called extremists, and you claim many other groups are part of it, right? So next thing you know, you got everybody together, you turn around, and now it's just you. You're like, hold up, what happened to the other? No, don't worry about them. We're dealing with you. Because from the jump, they just wanted you. Now they can't just come for you, so they got to come for everybody and then really just focus on you. Esau's not slick. But anyway, I got one more. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 1 verse 30. I'll start at 2nd Ezra chapter 1 verse 36. It says, they have seen no prophets, yet they shall call their sins to remembrance and acknowledge them. Verse 37, I take to witness the grace of the people to come, whose little ones rejoice in gladness, and though they have not seen me with bodily eyes, yet in spirit they believe the things that I say. Okay, and who fits that? It says, and now, brother, behold what glory, and see the people that come from the east, unto whom I will give for leaders Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Oseas, Amos, and this is the Greek of the Greek way of their actual name. Oseas is Hosea. All right, and these are all prophets. Okay, Amos and Micaiah, which I believe is Micah, Joel, Abdias, all right, which I think that's Obadiah, and Jonas, okay, Jonah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Sophonias, Aggeus, Zachary, and Malachi, which is also an angel of the Lord. And these what? These are just a few of the names that were listed here that says the Lord will give them for leaders. Okay, see, so is listed in here who? The prophets. Okay, because the spirit, all right, that the Lord wants our people to move by, and that's the spirit. That's definitely the spirit. I just looked down here and there's something here. It says, oh wow, it says the ridge, meet the ridge. It's an ad, right? And it says meet the ridge, a slim RFID blocking wallet designed to streamline. You know, my phone was blocking it, so all I see is RFID. I'm like, oh, hold up. You know, hey, every time you see that, you're thinking of the chip, you're thinking of prophecy. But yeah, so that's interesting too. But going back to it, you have, like it says, unto whom I will give for leaders, and then what? It lists out the prophets. Okay, you know, it lists out the prophets. So, like, you know, to wrap it up, the prophets play a very important role, and that's why, you know, I titled it the divine spirit, all right, of the prophets. See, that the spirit we have, all right, is from Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, and that's why we're able to do the works we do. It's not of us, okay? We're literally just doing what the spirit of the Lord comes upon us to do. We're just vessels the Lord decided to use, you know, to speak through, okay? And so, hey, we humbly do the work of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, but, you know, it's nothing to get flattered about, all right? We're just here to do our job, okay? So, hey, you know, that was pretty much it. Let me see if brothers put on anything on here. Let's see. Yahshua the chosen, 1 Corinthians 14 and 32. And the spirits of the prophets are subject to the prophets. That's right. Okay, so like I said, so the spirit of a prophet is not going, you know, if you're a prophet, you're going to come back as a prophet and you're going to do what your job is to do. In World War I, a gun did the same thing it does in 2021, all right, which is shoot. Now you got different rapid fire and all that, but the point is a gun shoots. A gun shot in World War I, a gun shot in World War II, a gun shoots in 2021. A car drives however many years cars were invented ago, cars drive today. Planes fly back then, planes fly today. Okay, that's just the role of a car is to drive. The role of a gun is to shoot. The role of a plane is to fly. The role of a prophet is to prophesy. Doesn't matter what time they come in, they're going to do what they're created to do. That's it. It's as simple as that. All right. Let's see. That's right. This is Matthew 19 and 28 from Paul Duncan. And Yahushua said unto them, verily I say unto you that ye which have followed me in the regeneration, which means in the reincarnation, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye also shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay, and so now we know what's coming. All right, so I just wanted to do that quick lesson. Lord willing, it was edifying unto the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak Wadash. And just stay strong, man. We see the times coming. They are moving, okay? The Lord is picking this thing up. So just stay vigilant, stay circumspect, and pray. All right, stay in prayer and stay in the spirit. So with that, shalom.